श्रुति स्मृति पुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शंकरं लोकशंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः। देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Prasad Gurujala. So we'll chant 6th chapter. अथ षष्ठोऽध्यायः।
अथ षष्ठोऽध्यायः।
श्रीभगवानुवाच
श्रीभगवानुवाच
अनाश्रितः कर्मफलम्
अनाश्रितः कर्मफलम्
कार्यं कर्म करोति यः
कार्यं कर्म करोति यः
स सन्न्यासी च योगी च
स सन्न्यासी च योगी च
न निरग्निर्न चाक्रियः
न निरग्निर्न चाक्रियः
यं सन्न्यासमिति प्राहुः
यं सन्न्यासमिति प्राहुः
योगं तं विद्धि पाण्डव
योगं तं विद्धि पाण्डव
न ह्यसन्न्यस्तसङ्कल्पः
न ह्यसन्न्यस्तसङ्कल्पः
योगी भवति कश्चन
योगी भवति कश्चन
आरुरुक्षोर्मुनेर्योगम्
आरुरुक्षोर्मुनेर्योगम्
कर्म कारणमुच्यते
कर्म कारणमुच्यते
योगारूढस्य तस्यैव
योगारूढस्य तस्यैव
शमः कारणमुच्यते
समः कारणमुच्यते
Yada hinendriyartheshu
Yada hinendriyadeshu
na karmasvanu shajjate
na karmasvanu shajjate
sarva sankalpa sannyasi
sarva sankalpa sannyasi
yoga rudhastadochyate
yogarudastadochyate
uddharedatmanatmanam
uddharedatmanatmanam
natmanamavasadayet
natmanamavasadayet
atmaiva hyatmano bandhuhu
atmaiva hatmano bandhuhu
bandhuratmaivarupuratmanaha.
bandhuratmaiva ripuratmanaha.
So with Pujya Swamiji's blessings, seeking his blessings, we enter chapter 6, the study of chapter 6. So this topic, this chapter is about Dhyanam, popularly translated as meditation. And so Dhyanam will be discussed elaborately in this chapter. We have said earlier, Karma Yoga was a means for Antakarana Shuddhi. Then following that, we have Jnana Yoga, which is the direct means for moksha. Jnana Yoga is gaining knowledge. Simple way to translate Jnana Yoga is a lifestyle which drives you, which keeps you occupied in gaining the knowledge of Atma. That is Jnana Yoga. Many disciplines are there, okay, all that is there, but primarily gaining of knowledge. Why gaining of knowledge? Well, because we have understood that the primary problem which causes samsara to us, which causes bondage to us, pain, sorrow, is ajnana, ignorance of our own nature. And therefore, you have karma yoga and jnana yoga. Okay. So now, in this karma yoga itself, there are two kinds of sadhanam. Karma yoga is a sadhanam. Sadhana means a discipline, a method, a way to, a pathway towards, correct? That is called yoga. Yoga means that. And so in that sadhanam, there are two kinds of sadhanams. One is called bahiranga sadhanam, the other is called antaranga sadhanam. Bahiranga sadhanam means what? A means where you use your entire body. Your hands are used, your vocal cords are used, you are chanting, you are doing paranam, you are doing puja, you are using your hands, and so on and so forth. You're chanting, you're singing. So all that is called bahiranga sadhana. And now we are entering into what is called antaranga sadhana. Antaranga. Why antaranga? This dhyanam is a mental activity. It is also an activity. It is an activity like okay. So Ani is saying something. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Jayakumarji, it froze for a few instances in the last couple of minutes From when you started Bahiranga Sadhanam, it started, but after that it paused, at least for me. So you may have to please repeat if you don't mind. I don't know if everybody else has the experience.
Same experience. Just
We said Bahiranga Sadhana. Bahiranga Sadhana means using all parts of our body visibly. So if I'm active, if I'm talking, if I'm chanting, if I'm singing, if I'm doing puja, it is very visible. And so Bahiranga, because I'm using all parts of my body. Antaranga means meditation. Of course, when somebody is meditating, we do know that the person is meditating because eyes are closed, etc. But what is going on, nobody can figure out in the head. So therefore, Antaranga. Okay, Antaranga. The mind is always going to be used, even for any action. For every action, the mind is, of course, involved. But the mind is involved, the vocal cords are involved, the mouth is involved, the hands are involved, the legs are involved, so many things, all parts of the body are involved. Many parts of the body are involved in Bahiranga Sadhana, including the mind. But in Dhyanam, only the mind is involved. Not even the eyes. Eyes also don't do this. So all physical activity is reduced to nil. Involuntary actions will be going on. The heart is beating, and let it beat. That is good for us. And so all that is going on, no doubt. So that is Antaranga. And so therefore, Dhyanam is called what? Manasa Vyaparaha. Vyaparaha means some activity, occupation. What kind of occupation? Mental occupation. Manasa Vyapara. Okay. Manasa Vyapara. So somebody comes and tells me, all day I've been worrying. Can I say I've been meditating all day? That is a question somebody has. Then we say that won't come under the category of Dhyanam, even though it is a Manasa Vyapara. It's a Manasa Vyapara. We agree with you on that. But we won't call it Dhyanam because Dhyanam, the topic of Dhyanam must be Bhagavan, Ishvara. If you are thinking about Bhagavan all the time, then it's meditation. But generally, when they think about Bhagavan, they don't say, I worry about Bhagavan all the time. They don't say that. And so worry is generally about children and parents, our health and this and that. This is what our worry is all about. And therefore, what must be the topic of this Manasa Vyaparaha? The topic must be Bhagavan, called as Saguna Brahman. Saguna Brahman. That is a technical word for Ishvara, Bhagavan. And Jagat Karanam Brahma. And that Saguna Brahma. Therefore, what is definition of Dhyanam now? Saguna Brahma Vishaya Manasa Vyapara. Saguna Brahma Vishaya Manasa Vyapara. The Manasa Vyapara, whose topic Vishaya is Saguna Brahma. Okay. So that is how we understand this Dhyana. Then somebody comes and says, Guruji, thanks to all your teaching. Now every morning half a minute I spend thinking about my Ishta Devata. What? What do you do? Half a minute I spend. So half a minute is better than nothing. Okay. So half a minute is good. Therefore, can I say I am meditating for half a minute every day in the morning? Can I say? No, we have to say Shabash. I think that's a good start, definitely. But we won't call it as meditation yet because there is some more things we have to add to this definition. Ishta Devata is there, Krishna is there, Devi is there, Ganapati is there. All this is my Ishta Devata, and I'm keeping that Devata in my mind. So Saguna Brahma Vishaya Manasa Vyapara. Then one thing is we have to think about that Ishvara for a certain length of time. So therefore they say Sajatiya vritti pravaha. Sajatiya vritti pravaha. What is the meaning of that? Pravaha. Pravaha means flow. A flow. A flow is called pravaha. Continuous flow. A flow is there. And so that flow is called pravaha. Then vritti pravaha. What is vritti pravaha? Vritti means thought. A flow of thought. A flow of what kind of thoughts? Sajatiya. Sajatiya vritti pravaha. Sajatiya. What is Sajatiya? Jati means a type of thought. A type of thought. A type is called Jati. Sajatiya. Same type of thought. Same type of thought. Okay. So Sajatiya vritti pravaha. Saguna Brahma Vishaya Manasa Vyaparaha. I hope you're all following me, correct? I'm trying to go as slow as possible. It's not easy to say. I'm used to talking fast, actually speaking. I can't talk slowly, but I've trained myself. I've told myself, you have to slow down. You have to slow down. And even then, I'm not that slow. Sometimes I feel I go a little fast. So when I talk to you like this, I'm actually slowing down. It makes me slow down. I'm telling myself all this. Slow down, slow down. So, and on the internet also periodically it just goes off. So that adds to everything. So, Sajatiya vritti pravaha saguna brahma vishaya manasa vyaparaha. Okay, or Sajatiya vritti pravaha rupa. Also, you can add in between rupa. Okay, then they want to make it a little more specific. Okay, generally it is constant. And then just to be sure we understand what this Sajatiya means, the definition now is going to say, keeping away all thoughts that are not relevant to meditation, dhyana. Vijatiya vritti rahita. Rahita means absent of. Okay, absent. Without. Rahita. Rahita. What kind of rahita? Without what? Vritti rahita. Without the thoughts. Without what kind of thoughts? Vijatiya vritti rahita. Vijati. Vijati means those things which are not the sajati, not the jati that you have chosen. I've chosen a jati. And so anything other than that jati, those thoughts, keep them away. Keep them away from this occupation. And so what is now our definition? Vijatiya vritti rahita sajatiya vritti pravaha rupa saguna. Now you should be able to fill up the blanks. Saguna brahma vishaya manasa vyapara. Correct? Everything audible now? Yeah. This is the definition of dhyana. Okay. So we have to understand it. So that even we will now shortly look at what is not dhyana. So only when we understand what dhyana is, we can understand what is not dhyana. And so that is one aspect. Second, there is when you start doing meditation, like some of you have done and some of you have been doing for many years, thoughts, the mind will wander. Mind will wander. And you thought you're going to have a nice meditation. And you suddenly figured out for 10 minutes you've been thinking of your children's, your daughter's college admission. Well, that's a big thing. And this Bhagavan is playing a nice joke on us. And he says, sit and do meditation on me. And all with Krishna Leela, all so much Leela is there for me to think about. But my mind is going there on what to do. This is how it is. So even if those anxieties are not there, still the mind will wander. Mind will wander. That's the nature of the mind. Therefore, later on Krishna will say, when the mind wanders, what should you do? Don't get agitated. Don't get anxious. Don't say, oh, my mind is always like this. I'm not doing meditation properly. No way. Don't say anything. What you should do when the mind wanders, then bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back. Come back to Om Namah Shivaya. Come back to Om Krishnaya Namaha. Come back. Come back. Oh, but I'm constantly doing this for half an hour. Yeah, please do it constantly for half an hour. That is what meditation is. Bringing the mind back to your own self is meditation. Is part of meditation. Who said it is not part of meditation? Krishna is going to talk about it. Okay. Oh, really? Yes. The fact that you have recognized that your mind has wandered itself is a great level of alertness. Alertness. All you have to do is figure out. You invite friends home for dinner or something, and then you see how the conversation goes. You have to record all these things. You record all these major things, events and Bharatanatyam, my daughter's Arangetram and all you record. But you should record your own conversation. Once in a while you should do that. And just see and play it and see and listen to yourself talking. And you can see, my God, what all we talked about. And it went from here to there to there to there, and it just goes. There is no order at all. There's absolutely no order. And the pandemic, periodically you bring pandemic, and that we are supposed to talk about the pandemic because it's pandemic time. But other than that, there's so much masala is there, and so the mind just wanders and wanders. Therefore, never complain that the mind is wandering. If the mind is wandering, bring it back. And after some time, you'll be amazed. The mind, I think, figures out, nah, this guy, I can't, no, whether I wander, he's okay. I don't wander, he's okay. And so I give up. I'm going to relax. Yeah, that's what will happen. So that is to be understood here. If the mind does not wander at all, then we get into what is called samadhi. Samadhi. So here it is dhyanam. Krishna is going to talk about dhyana. Okay. And there is also a nirguna brahma vishaya manasa vyapara. What did we say? Saguna brahma manasa vyapara is dhyana. Because Saguna Brahma means Ishvara. Ishvara means Ishtadevata. Ishtadevata means a form. Krishna means I must be able to visualize Krishna. Lakshmi means I must be able to visualize Lakshmi. Ganapati means I visualize Ganapati. Form is there and all Leela is there along with that. And so Ganapati Bappa Maurya will come suddenly. And all that will be there. That is called Saguna Brahma Vishaya. Then Nirguna Brahma Vishaya is also there. Okay. And that is what we call as Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana. So often we've talked about Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasana. Okay. So what is Nididhyasana? It comes after the study is over, after the Shastram is understood, after the Mahavakyam is understood, and then Nididhyasana is there. The purpose of Nididhyasana is to remove this habitual error. We'll talk about that shortly. Habitual error, that is, the knowledge is there, but still I don't feel like I am what the Shastram is talking about. Okay, that habitual error is there, and that is called Nididhyasana. And Nididhyasana, so there the type of meditation is different, dhyanam is different. And there you basically recall what you've studied. Okay. And so aham purnaha, aham asangaha, aham avinashi. So those words are pondered about. Not even ponder. The word ponder is also not the right word. Those words are brought. Asangoham, asangoham, asangoham. Okay. Purnoham, purnoham, purnoham. Aham purnaha. I'm full. I'm complete. Nothing else is there. There's only Purnam. Purnamadaha, Purnamidam, Purnamadaha, Purnamidam. This is called Nididhyasana. So this becomes very important after the study, after the Shastram is properly studied and one is ready for Nididhyasana. So until then we do what is called Dhyana. So Saguna Brahma Vishaya Manasa Vyapara. So one thing we should understand is what dhyanam is not. What is the purpose of dhyanam and what for dhyanam is not used. So we have to understand that. So dhyanam must be meant for moksha, because that is a spiritual discipline. And so spiritual means moksha. So purusharthas are there, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha is there. Only when moksha comes, we talk about dhyanam. But then dhyanam is not a means for moksha. It's not moksha sadhana. Why dhyanam is not moksha sadhanam? Well, we know that, not difficult to understand. Because dhyanam is also a karma. It is also an activity, vyaparaha, manasa vyaparaha. Therefore, it is an activity, no doubt. And we know that moksha is not a result of any activity. We've seen that before. Moksha cannot be a result of activity, because activity, any action is finite, and the result of any finite action has to be a finite only, has to be a finite result. But aham purnaha cannot be a result of finite activity. And that is because moksha is siddha vastu. Siddha vastu means I already am complete, I already am full. Atma is already complete, already full, already free, already muktaha. But I don't know that. I don't know my true nature. I don't know the nature of Atma. I've taken myself to be as good as this body. The body is, of course, limited. The body has all kinds of things, which some of which I like, some of which I don't like also. And so life goes up and down like this when I think of my body. And then I have to, Shastram says, body is you, you are not the body. Body is you. Yes, body is you. But you are not the body. When the Shastram says tat tvam asi, tvam tat asi, you are that, when the Shastram says that you is not referring to this body. And therefore, and tattvam asi, you are that. Shastram doesn't say tat tvam bhavishyasi, you will become that. Doesn't say that. You will become Brahma. No. You are Brahma. You were Brahma. You are Brahma. You will be Brahma. Therefore, being Siddha Vastu, where is the question of any particular activity giving me moksha? Even if it is meditation, even though meditation is such an important thing, dhyanam is such an important thing. Dhyanam is not moksha sadhana. Correct? Antakarana Shuddhi is important for jnanam, and so therefore it should be put under karma yoga. It should be put under a sadhanam, which gives me Antakarana Shuddhi. Then maybe dhyanam will give me jnanam. Dhyanam will give me jnanam, because I am after knowledge now. And because the Shastra keeps on talking, Krishna keeps on saying that also. So jnanena moksha. And maybe that is what it is. Then no, moksha, dhyanam cannot give jnanam also. Cannot give jnanam. Why? What can give me jnanam? Only removal of ignorance will give me jnanam. And dhyanam is important in its own right. And it sets up a nice environment for that knowledge to take place. And we've already said jnanam can only be gained through a pramanam. Jnanam means prama. Prama karanam jnanam. Jnanam is that which, so jnanam requires a pramanam, a means of knowledge. If you tell somebody, look what I bought for you. Look what I bought for you, and then fellow says, okay, tell me. Look what I bought for you. Okay, tell me, show me. You have to open your eyes, my dear. Only then you can see what I brought for you. No, tell me. No, I won't tell you. I don't even know the name of this thing. You have to look. You have to look. There's only way. There's no choice. No, I'll hear you out. Yeah, you can hear me out, but it's not the same as looking, So that pramanam, we saw that. So what are the 6 pramanas? We saw pratyaksham. We have to go back to past notes. Pratyaksham, which is perception. Anumanam. Anumanam is inference. These are the two main sources of knowledge. Pratyaksham, Anumanam. Then Arthapattihi. Arthapattihi means data-based inference, two-step inference and multi-step inference. Like they do in all labs, all diagnostic labs, they use multi-step inference, Arthapatti, constantly going on. And then what? Anupalabdhi. Anupalabdhi means presumption. If this were not so, then this could not have happened. If this were not so, it could not have happened. So that argument is called Anupalabdhi. And then Upamanam. Upamanam is illustration. Illustration. So giving an example. Have you seen a cow? Have you seen a deer? Yeah, I've seen a deer. Okay. The reindeer that lives in the Himalayas, the reindeer is like a deer. It's a different kind of deer. Oh, I see. Okay. So giving an illustration, I can give you some idea of what I want to talk about. So that's called Upaman. So 5 are over. And sixth is what? Sixth is Shastram. Shastram. Because the topic Atma is, what Pramanam is going to be used for Atma? Well, none of these 5 Pramanams can be used. Atma cannot be Ashabdam Arupam. Atma is not an object of knowledge. It's not an object of perception or inference. And because Atma is already there, and Shastram has to come and unfold the Tattvam of Atma. Correct? And therefore we bring Shastram there. Okay. So therefore it is Dhyanam is not Moksha Sadhanam. Dhyanam is not Jnana Sadhanam. Because Dhyanam is not a Pramanam. We already listed the Pramanams. Dhyanam is not one of those. And therefore Dhyanam cannot give you Jnanam. See, look at how airtight the discussion is. Correct? Look at the discussion of Pramanam. Why? So it is so important. Why it is so important. So Dhyanam is not one of the 6 Pramanas. Therefore, it cannot give me knowledge. Okay. Then, what about some great experience, mystical experience, extraordinary experience? Well, Dhyanam can give one extraordinary experiences. Okay. But then an extraordinary experience is not moksha. Extraordinary experience can be gained because when the mind is calm, then anything can happen. And some experience can be there. But then by definition, what is an experience? Experience is something that begins and experience is something that ends. That is why you call it an experience. That is why you can say, I had a good experience means what? Hey, before that experience started, my experience was not good. Now I had a good experience. Now what now when you're talking to me, what kind of experience is it? It's so. It's so experience. Okay, because you are standing in front of me, therefore it is so experience. So that is how it is. Experience is like that. So one is welcome to get any type of experience, but it won't. It will always agama pai. Agama pai, nityaha, anityaha. So it's anityam, agama pai, it comes and goes. So meditation can produce mystical experiences, but that is not the purpose of Dhyanam. That's not the purpose of Dhyanam, because a mystical experience, however great it is, and it is finite. It is within the realm of samsara only. It is an experience, just like many other experiences. It will come and go. It is anityam. Therefore, never equate moksha to an experience. Okay. This is the magnum. This is our shastram. Our shastram stands on these legs, and nobody, unshakable legs. That is what differentiates us from everybody else that is offering so many ideas. And so Mandukya Upanishad, Gaudapada also says, he talks about an experience like this. And he says, did you get those experiences? Yes, I got many such experiences. Okay, reject them. Don't hang on to them and don't say I got moksha on that. He says, reject them. Reject them. Let it become. That's not, you're not searching for an experience. Vidyasanam purpose is to understand the Mahavakya. Therefore, you reject those experiences. Reject means what? You don't get carried away by that experience. Naswadayet, he says. Naswadayet. Don't relish. If you keep relishing, then you will want more and more of that same experience. Correct? That is what will happen. So he says, Naswadayet. And therefore now, what is the purpose of dhyana? Having understood what is dhyanam not for, now tell me what is dhyanam. What is the purpose of dhyanam? What for is dhyanam? Now, generally, before studying the Shastra, we are already religious, we are already prayerful, and we are doing all the disciplines we are supposed to be followed. So, Anushtanam is there, Vedika means Anushtanam is there, and rituals are done, and Puja, Parayanam, everything is done. So, Adhyaya, Pravachana, Dhyana, Pramadita. So, whether I'm studying the Shastram or not, some Parayanam is being done. So, Vishnu Sahasranama Parayanam, Lalita Sahasranama Parayanam, like this, so much is there. Akhanda Rama and Patha. Every day is going, something or the other is going on. So all that is done, and then I come to the Shastram and I get exposed to it, and Shravanam begins. So ideally that Saguna Brahma Vishaya Upasana must have happened before I came to the Shastra. And that Upasana prepares me for the Shravanam, for the study of the Shastra. And so one of the purposes of Dhyanam, here Dhyanam means Upasanam, which means the worship of Bhagavan through the prayers, through the rituals. Okay? Through all the festivals we celebrate, and then we worship Bhagavan in various forms. Okay? That is also called Dhyanam. And the name for that Dhyanam is Upasanam. Upasana. Okay. Nididhyasanam is also going to be called Dhyanam, two types of Dhyanam. And this first basic Dhyanam, which prepares me for studying the Shastram, is called Upasanam. And that is one of the purpose of Dhyanam. That Upasana Rupa Dhyanam. What is the purpose? Purpose is to make me ready. Make me ready. I know what Bhagavan is because of my years of practice. Nobody needs to tell me what Bhagavan is. But now Shastram is going to give me some insights about Bhagavan and myself. So I am ready for that Shravan. Okay. That is called Upasana. So it is like you're going to, the farmer is tilling the land, watering, putting fertilizer, mixing manure, all these things are going on. For a lot of time, this is all going on. All to prepare to sow the seed. And the seed is to be sown, and all the steps done prior to that. That is what this Upasanam gives me. Gives me the readiness to sit in a class and listen. Correct? So important it is, because to sit in a class like this, not easy at all. Correct? I see many people yawning, and I'm not complaining, because even I was yawning in class many times, and I used to wonder how am I going to sit through this class? Some classes are like that. I don't know. It is some nakshatra, some problem will be there, I think. And then some classes are just impossible to sit. And at least here you can turn off your video. At least you can do all kinds of things. In class, we can't turn off video in the ashram. And I'm sitting right in front of Swami, and then the head is going down like this. And head doesn't stay. What do you do? So all these problems are there. But to a large extent, I can follow what's going on. Large extent, majority, 80%, 90%. Okay. And so it prepares me for all of it. I can enjoy the class. Yes, now I am connecting with Bhagavad Gita. And that connection is what this Upasana makes happen. So after Upasana, obviously next step is what? Shravanam. Shravanam. Ready for the Shastram. Shravanam, Mananam has to happen. And so that is called Jnana Yoga or Adhyatma Yoga. And that is what we call as Vedanta Vicharaha. All that is synonymous. And Shravanam. And then Mananam is always talked about whenever there is Shravanam. Because once there is something to be understood, you will have doubts. Doubts will happen because everything is logically being explained. Therefore, once logic is there, then doubts will be there, and doubts have to get cleared. Doubts have to get cleared. If something has to be believed, then there can't be any doubt. There can't be any doubt. So suppose somebody says after death you will go to Vrindavan, Golok Vrindavan, and then you will play Dandiya with Krishna. Suppose somebody says that. Okay, what doubt will you have? What kind of color of the Dandiya? Is that the doubt you have? And will it start at 6 o'clock in the evening, or will they do Dandiya Ras in the morning also at 8 o'clock? Is that the question you have? What kind of questions can you have? Think about questions. What kind of questions can you ask? Huh? The high ceiling floors or what? What kind of apartments? Is it apartment or is it big ashram, or what kind of place it is? Some questions we can have. What can they say? What can they answer? No, you just take whatever comes and believe it and then be happy with it. That's all. You can't ask all these questions. And what kind of decibel level it is here in Earth. Our sound frequencies are 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, and there is it about 20,000. Do we get the hearing of dogs so we can hear all these high frequency sounds? All these questions, please don't ask all this. Just take whatever comes and be happy with it, and that's how it is. But when we study Shastram, and the Shastram is talking about an equation, Tattvamasi, there will be a lot of doubts. And doubts have to be cleared constantly. And therefore, so Swami, and doubts have to be completely cleared. And Swami Chinmayanandaji says this. He says, suppose there is a wire. These electricians, they work with wires. And in India, we are not unfamiliar with getting electric shocks. How many of you have received a shock? Electric shock. Yeah, a lot of hands are there. How come? Well, that's how it is. And somehow or the other, with all the protection, we do get a shock. And so, some wire is there. And somebody says, no, it's the power, you can work on it. There is no power there. Are you absolutely sure? I'm 99% sure. I'm 99% sure that the wire is not live. Okay. Will you go and touch that wire? No. What about that 1%? Slight doubt I have. Only a slight doubt. Not a big doubt, only a slight doubt. No. Slight doubt, you are not going to touch that wire. So small slight doubt also. So it is like Swami Parvidyanandaji says, it is like trying to cross the river, cross the well, a small well that you can cross. So I crossed 99%. So I crossed 99% will not work, my dear. I crossed 99% is another way of saying I fell in the well. That is the meaning. That's what it is, right? So therefore, clearing doubts is very important in the Shastram. And Mananam is given a lot of value. And so they've written books and books and books. Why all these books? Because questions are asked, constantly posed, so that our clarity keeps on improving. We are studying a book. There is a text called, I've told you this before, I think I don't mind saying it now because of the context. Brahma Sutra. Brahma Sutra is some 500 plus sutras, very cryptic sentences sutras written by Veda Vyasa, which talks about our tradition, which establishes what is the topic of the Shastram, topic of the Upanishads. And then the first sutra is called Athato Brahma Jignasa. Athato Brahma Jignasa. That's it. That's why I should not use the word sentence. Sutram is sutram. That's all. Very, very cryptic. Just 2 or 3 words will be there in that. Athato Brahma Jignasa. Over. And so here, Atha, Ataha, Brahma Jignasa. Three words are there. Atha, then. Atha, then. Ataha, thereafter. Brahma Jignasa. The desire to know Brahma. That's it. That is the literal translation of Athato Brahma Jignasa. Then this middle, in the middle there is a word Ataha. Ataha means therefore. Therefore, suppose somebody says therefore. What is the meaning of that? Somebody says therefore. Therefore means something has gone before that. Some story is there before that. And therefore, we draw the following conclusion. Therefore. And here, without saying anything, Veda Vyasa says therefore. He starts the first sentence. Did you ever read a novel where the first sentence or the first word is therefore? No, therefore can't be there. Something has to be said. Only then you can say therefore. And so he says therefore. Now all these minds are all working hard. What does Veda Vyasa mean when he says therefore? Huge discussion and amazing work it is. Now, one Ramaraya Kavi who lived in Andhra some 200 years ago, 300 years ago, he gives 100 meanings for the word Ataha, therefore. Why Veda Vyasa gave therefore? He gives 100 meanings. And you know how he writes? He writes in the form of a Siddhanta Purva Pakshi. Somebody comes and says, oh, he said therefore because moksha cannot be gained by knowledge, because Atma cannot be objectified at all. Therefore, you must do this. That is why he said therefore. Then response to that Purva Pakshi. He gives a response. Like this 100 he's giving. We've been studying that for the last 4, 5, 6 months now, almost going on. And so he writes in Sanskrit, and we are trying to analyze that. So Purva Pakshi is there, then Siddhanti. Purva Pakshi, Siddhanti. Going on. So why I said all this? So much is there to study. There is no end. There is no end at all. This is Brahma Sutram is part of the Prasthanatrayam, which has Upanishads, many of them. Bhagavad Gita is very long. And Prasthanatraya, so many texts Shankara has written. And then Brahma Sutram, Veda Vyasa has written. 500 plus sutras. And within that 500, there is one sutra. Within that one sutram, there is one word among the 3 words. And for that one word, there is 100 meanings is given. So you can get lost studying this. You can just enjoy. If you like it, there is nothing like it. And so, why all these things? To clarify doubts only. Mananam. Once you know it, then everything makes sense and everything is clear. But just this debate goes on and on and on. So then clarity keeps on improving. And so, so this is how our tradition is. And so what we'll do is, we already chanted. So let me chant this first shloka again. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Anashritah Karma Phalam Karyam Karma Karoti Yaha Sasanyasi Cha Yogi Cha Na Niragnir Na Chakriyaha. So we will see the meaning of this shloka in the next class. But we talked about introduction. What is dhyanam? How does it fit in the scheme of things? What are the types of dhyanam, if there are? And what is the connection between dhyanam and karma yoga? And then nididhyasanam is there. I'll review that again in the next class. So we have something called upasanam, which prepares me for shravanam. Then we have shravanam. And then after shravanam, what happens is, shravanam is over, shastram is understood. Now I need to digest it. I must assimilate it. And shastram is understood, but then what happens? There is viparita bhavana. There is habitual error. Habitually, I'm used to taking myself as this small. And shastram is saying you are purnaha. What is the connection? The connection is there. And so that is nididhyasanam. We saw that. And so what about this chapter? is this chapter about Upasana Rupa Dhyanam or Nididhyasana Rupa Dhyanam? Correct? Upasana prepares me to do Shravanam. And then Nididhyasana Rupa Dhyanam is after Shravanam. So this Dhyanam that Krishna is going to talk about is Upasanam or is it Nididhyasana? Well, the answer is simple. Because already for 5 chapters, Krishna has taught. And so Karma Yoga is there, Jnana Yoga is there, and it's all summarized in the 5th chapter. Therefore, Shravanam is essentially over. Essentially over. Arjuna has understood a lot. And so now our acharyas say that this chapter is about Nididhyasanam. Correct? Nididhyasanam. Once the Shastram is understood, then only Nididhyasanam. Otherwise, Nididhyasanam doesn't make sense. Because every statement has an understood statement must be contemplated on. Look at that. A statement that is understood must be contemplated on. So I got a good suggestion from one of you that why not I introduce Sanskrit words when I do meditation, when I do the Dhyanam, guided meditation. Why not introduce Sanskrit words when I refer to nose, cheek, chin, ears, head, all these things, okay? Thigh. It's a good suggestion because while doing meditation, you get to know a few Sanskrit words also, okay? But then the danger there is, if I introduce a Sanskrit word that is not known to you, then what will happen? Suppose I say chibukaha instead of cheek. Chibukaha, cheek. Then suddenly what happened? The mind will start wandering. Oh, chibuka means cheek. Chibuka means cheek. Oh, okay, I didn't know. And Sanskrit students will get excited. Oh, I learned another Sanskrit word. This excitement that the Sanskrit students have, it's a joy. Just being in a Sanskrit class itself is so joyful. Moksha right there. Sanskrit class is full of moksha. Correct? Because so much is going on and everybody is asking questions and this, that, and every word, you're paying attention to. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, is that right? So this mind will, instead of supposed to be calm, the mind gets excited. Oh, chibuka means cheek. Then what? Nasika. Nasika. Yeah, I remember Nasika. Nasika is not a new word for me. It says, so mind is now, look at that. Mind is now analyzing, got lost. No meditation at all. So this risk is there. So I responded saying that the risk is very high. And so we have to carefully do that. And if I start introducing these words, then somebody might say, oh, what is all this chibuka? Why doesn't she just talk in English? This Sanskrit words bother me. That feedback also I got. When I'm translating, don't introduce Sanskrit. That feedback also I got. So English means English mein karo, sab. Let's keep everything in English. Sanskrit, they'll keep it as a separate section. Then we can understand. So all these, I'm getting feedback, right? So therefore I have to be careful. And so therefore in Dhyanam, we don't introduce new things, new topics. Otherwise it will become analytic. Already it is analytic. Dhyanam, we have to just follow our Acharya's advice. Keep it simple. Krishna, Krishna. We all assume you know what Krishna is. You should not scratch your head. Krishna, what is Krishna? I have to come on, show me a picture of Krishna and all. We can't say all that. We should know what Krishna is, period. And so that is Dhyanam. Here we are going to enter a nice chapter of Dhyanam. Dhyana Yoga, it's sometimes called Atma Samyama Yoga. 2 different names we see periodically. So both mean the same thing. So we will continue the study from the next class onwards. Okay. Om Swastik Prajabhyah Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Go Brahmanebhyah Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshatu Pajanyah Prithivi Sasya Shalini Desho Yam Kshobarahitaha Brahmana Santu Nirbhayaha Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritangamaya Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.